for this episode of Off Script with Debbie. It's a great one. It's letters to my younger self. Have you ever wished, like, down life, if you look back, I wish I could have told myself, yeah. And it's not that we want to live in regrets, but just things maybe we would have done a little differently. And that's what this episode is all about, some life lessons. And so I asked two women that I look up to that are old. No, sorry. Sorry, when they watch this episode, you're not old, you're just mature. But I asked two women if they would just write a letter to their younger self, and I could share a few things from them. The first one is from my friend Cheri. Cheri was a missionary in Brazil for 40-some years, and she has 3 children, and she wrote this for me. She goes, really, I have no regrets. I just wished I'd done some things differently. I thought, okay, that's such a polite way of saying it. But she said, the first thing that comes to mind is taking more time with my kids. Like taking them out for ice cream, each one individually, and looking them in the eye and listening to them. Asking them about their ideas on various subjects. And I wish I would have had a diary and written down some cute things they said or did when they were younger. Just a few lines, so that it would trigger my memory of that occasion. Don't we all kind of wish that? I'm like, oh, I remember she used to say something cute, but I can't bring it back to mind. And she said that when she got to Brazil, they had an older missionary that came up to her and told them, take time with your kids. We didn't, and some of ours are not serving the Lord today. So they said, take time with your kids. And she said that really helped her and her husband to really be intentional about taking time with their kids. Lastly, she said, also, I wish I'd realized when I was younger that I could take everything, she put in huge letters, to him in prayer. And I mean everything. Thanks, Cheri. So the other old person I asked, mature, was my mama. I asked my mom, I said, Mom, would you write this? And she got so frazzled about it. Like, really? You want me to write this? So she worked and worked on it for days. But anyways, this is some what she said. She goes, I would tell my younger self to learn to find contentment and peace when you're climbing that next mountain of life. Realize you will not accomplish all your dreams of your youth, and sometimes that's okay, because some were not meant to be. Okay, so I always dreamed of having a pug nose. Okay, I know that's wrong, so I'm so glad that didn't come true. I'm just saying, there are dreams that shouldn't come true. I don't know why. Did you ever do that? You look in the mirror and I go, oh, I look so cute. No, okay, now I know it doesn't, but back, it's weird, but I did do that when I was younger. Okay. She also put, in each season of life, learn to relax and enjoy the ride. Sometimes it seems ever so slow, and other times it will feel like a roller coaster. And then she put in parentheses, which I don't like. And she said also, I was great one to borrow trouble, and I always thought trouble was coming my way, and many times it never happened. So I wish I would tell my younger self to worry less and be thankful for the blessings in your life. Great job. So that's what we're going to talk about today, lessons of life. And we're going to hear about those from a great speaker that I have, a good friend. And so I'm going to introduce her to you. Yay! Well, friends, I am so thrilled to introduce you to a good friend of mine. This is Jodi Detrick. She is the author of the book, The Jesus-Hearted Woman. She's a personal leadership coach. She's a mentor and an in-demand speaker, and I do know that. People always love to hear Jodi speak. She loves to talk to people at heart-level things about what matters most. She wants to talk to you about things what matter the most. She's also an adjunct professor at Northwest University. But this is the best part. This is how Jodi describes herself. You know what? When you ask people to describe themselves, it's so much better than a bio, right? So this is what Jodi said. If you ask what I want to do for the rest of my life, here's what I'll say. I want to keep having meaningful conversations with others about things that matter. I want to write in a way that compels minds to think, hearts to open, and spirits to stretch Godward on tiptoe. I want to resist the pull to play it safe, be moderate, and show only my best side. And when I pray, be big in me, O God, I want to mean it. And one more thing, I want to drink good coffee and eat cupcakes with buttercream frosting whenever possible. Yay! Yes. And you know what? Jody is just, well, number one, she's an amazing writer. She sends me thank you notes once in a while when I send her gifts, and I save them and copy them when I send thank you notes to other people. I told her I did that because they're like so good. Have you ever written a thank you note and you're like, thank you? Hers are like a book. They're beautiful. So I just save them and I use them. So if I've ever written you a thank you note and it's been really nice, it's probably Jody's. But I love Jody. Jody and I have been friends forever. Yes. And we've gone through life together and learned some life lessons together. And one thing that will always be dear to me is when we both went through kind of a hard time, we kind of got together, we cried a little, we prayed a little, and we came up with our own little mantra. And we still use it today. Like if one of us is going through something, we shoot a little text to one, and we just go HHHEOJ. And that means head held high,
eyes on Jesus.
And we just as our little kind of when we know we're kind of, one of us needs to be encouraged. Jody, you've been an amazing friend, and I just appreciate you. And I know these ladies, the ministry wives, need to hear some things from you about life lessons. Can you just share from your heart?
Well, thank you. First, Debbie, I want to say that I'm a lifelong Debbie fan. I mean, right? You know, you are a woman of passion and excellence, and anything you want me to do, I'm here because I'm like, you know, goodness sakes.
Good to know.
I'm so thrilled to partner with you and to count you as one of my dearest friends. So I love the theme, Letters to My Younger Self, and I would just have to say that if I wrote a letter to my younger self, it would be really, really long. And I would add all these PSs because I'm still learning for sure. I think it was Kierkegaard who said that life has to be lived forward, but it's understood backwards. And that is so true. I'm still learning. But I did kind of think about a few things that I would want to say to my younger self. And so here goes. The first one, I would tell my younger self that sweet people outnumber mean people, but you have to give them top billing in your mind, the sweet people. Good. Because the mean people can kind of come in and take over. And so at the end of the day, I like to think back and think about those precious people that I encountered along the way. It might have been a stranger. I remember one time in Chehalis when we were pastoring there, and there was a couple of situations where I felt, you know, maybe kind of personally attacked or whatever. And there was a young girl who started attending our church, and she was hearing impaired. And for some reason, I don't know how she gave me this nickname, but she called me Bible Jody, but it would be
Well,
Baba.
I know why they called her Bible Jody.
It would be Baba Jody. And so I would walk into the foyer, and she would come running at me full speed saying, Baba Jody! And I would get down on my knees and, you know, just hug her. And so sometimes we just need to remember those precious people, and they're not always the people that the world says are the important people. Right. They're just the precious people that we encounter. So watch who you're giving top billing to in your mind.
In the Bible, it says to the least of these.
That's right.
And it's
That's
true
right.
because I had that happen once. A lady sat next to me, and I knew it was going to be a difficult conversation because she couldn't talk real well. Yeah. And in my mind, because I wanted someone to talk to, I was like, oh, and the Lord just spoke to me, to the least of these. Yes. And I had the most wonderful conversation with her.
Absolutely.
So I agree. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Something else you learned.
Here's something else, that it's okay to not be fully prepared for everything that life and ministry throws at you. Because
Are some of you going to you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because you learn as you go. Confidence grows as you go. If I had waited until I felt prepared for everything that God has asked me to do, including today, I would.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I would never, step out of my comfort zone. And so it's okay to just be a learner and to ask for people for help and find out who's done that and talk to them. So keep growing and learning. It seems so elementary, but it really is true.
It is true.
And along with that, I think that sometimes the best help that we can give to someone is not an answer, but a question. A lot of people come to us if we're involved in ministry in any way and look to us as the answer person. And you know what? A lot of times I just don't have the answers. The problems seem to be getting more complex as we go on.
But I find for me, I want to give them an answer.
Oh, yeah.
So then I'm like praying in the spirit in my mind, like, God, give me something great,
Yeah.
but it's not usually
Right,
great.
right.
So then you would ask them a question.
Yeah, you know,
Coach Jody, you would ask them a question.
You know, I learned that from Elisha, actually, in 2 Kings 4. When he approached that widow who had lost essentially everything, her husband, and the debtors were coming, they were going to take away her sons. And here's this man of God, this great prophet, and what he said to her is, what can I do to help you? I mean, those 7 powerful words are a great place to start when you want to help anybody, because we sometimes assume that we know what they need and we don't always know. And I would also tell my younger self to ask that question to your family. Ask that to your husband, ask that to your kids, and then listen. Because sometimes we don't know what they're going through on any given day, and I wish that I had asked that more often and not just assumed that I knew what was going on in their lives or the people that they were kind of maybe making them miserable or situations that were hard. And so just asking, what can I do to help
That
you
is really good,
is a
Jody.
wonderful
I think we
thing.
all assume we know.
Right,
And so
right.
I think it's great to ask.
I think that's the value of this decade of Vantage Point, you know, in the 6th decade of my life now, is that I realize more and more that I don't have many answers. I have, you know, I know the answer, and certainly I can share what I've learned, but it really is good to start with some good questions, and then ask yourself that question. Ask. Once in a while, just ask, how am I doing really? I like to spend some time with some personal retreat time and just actually, I actually write it out, you know, how am I doing really? And across one side of the page, I list the things that seem to be going, you know, pretty well for me, things that I can see God's hand, and then I'm gut level honest about the things that I know are not going so well, and just pouring that out to Jesus. And then having safe friends like you, my head held high, eyes on Jesus friend, safe people that we can connect with. Actually, before I came to this video session today, a friend called me and she said, I'm passing through, could I stop by? Well, I hadn't showered. I was not ready for, for company. I was trying to think about this, and I needed to, iron my blouse.
Honey, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
Right now I'm kind of stressing for you. Yeah, go ahead.
And
you said no.
And my tendency was, and to say, well, maybe, but then I just knew that this was a safe, precious friend who's invested in me, and I've invested in her. And I said, sure, I'm not in best form, but come on by. And she had just finished a week of camping, and so we were both no makeup, no showers yet.
Oh, that's the best friend.
And we
as long as both of you haven't showered, it's
I know.
great.
It was good. Yeah. I sprayed air freshener in there.
Good. Did you take a shower before you came here?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. Yeah, I did.
I just thought
you're safe.
Thank you.
Safe,
okay.
Yeah. But so just making time for those sweet, safe friendships and asking each other the hard question, how are you doing really? And then listening is so important. And I wish I had learned that a little bit sooner in my life, for sure. So.
And also, when people do ask how you're doing, I know for me, I tend to always want to say I'm fine.
Yeah.
But finding those friends in ministry, it's important to find people that you could be really honest with.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to stay with them.
Right.
But you can say, I'm not doing well. Or can you pray with me about this situation with my family? You need to have someone to be authentic with.
Right.
Because it kind of takes some of the burden.
It really does.
And someone else is praying. And I think sometimes if you voice it, it just gives light to it.
Right.
And God hears your heart too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you've been a great friend to me,
Well,
Jody, where I could be
likewise.
authentic. I knew that it would stay with her, and she'd pray with me about it, and then I'd get my little encouraging thank you note later that I could use again. So she's a great friend.
Thank you.
So I know that your mother's older too,
Yes,
and we had talked
yes.
about her writing a little note, but
Yeah.
I don't think she was able to.
Yeah.
But is there one thing you think your mom would say if she could? Because she has an amazing
Oh
mom.
my goodness. Yeah. You know, my mom is 86, battling cancer, having, you know, really in that declining period of life, and yet I see the strength of her spirit just shining through. I'll tell you a little something that happened recently that kind of is an example of that. She had a rough night and hadn't slept well and was just laying in bed kind of dealing with pain, and she said, I laid there, I couldn't sleep, and then I started thinking back about how good God has been to me all my life, and all the blessings and all the ways that he's answered prayer. And she said, I just had to get out of bed and dance.
Oh, okay, that's the best thing of the whole day.
And so I think that she would remind us all that even though life and ministry is difficult at times, there are lots of reasons to dance along the way. And
Isn't that great? Oh, it just makes me want to go hug her. And I also want a video of her dancing.
Her little nightgown.
That would be. My mom dancing would need to take her cane with her. But that would be precious.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, because that is really a precious story.
For sure.
And I hope your mom can watch this episode and hear that you've shared about her.
Well, she's my hero and a mentor lifelong, and so she's the woman that I aspire to be someday for sure. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you, Jody, for sharing some life lessons with us. I think those are things that you guys can take home and think about and be encouraged. And I would like all of you to promise me tonight in the middle of the night that you're going to jump up and dance. Okay? Some of your husbands would love that. Okay? Okay. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, ladies. Okay, we have a fun activity that's coming up, and I'm going to ask 3 people from our audience to come up, and if you win something special. You win Jody's book, The Jesus-Hearted Woman. So I'm going to just kind of pick. Young lady, you look really cute. I think you would be great. Would you come up? Yeah, you're good. You're good. Back in the back row in the blue. Can you come on up? And way over there on the end. Come on up. Come on up. So we're going to have you guys just line up, scoot back just a little bit so that everyone can see. But we're going to play a game called Two Truths and a Lie. And each of you get one question you get to ask, and we'll start with you. And we're going to have 2 truths and a lie about me. We're going to see if you can figure something out. I thought this would be good because Jody has never lied in her life. And I thought it'd be just great to play a game about 2 truths and 1 lie. So, and your name, honey?
Ashlee.
Ashlee. So we're going to have you go first. Are you ready? 2 truths and a lie. Okay, here's the first question. Number 1, I was a disc jockey for the NU, which is Northwest University, radio station when I was in college. Or I've never had a ticket of any kind in my life. Or I have broken my little toe twice. Think about that. Okay, time's up. Which one is the lie? Boop. I was a disc jockey at New York. That was the beginning of my career. Okay, the second question for you, Janet. Number 1, I weighed 10 pounds at birth. Number 2, I flunked kindergarten for being too social. Or number 3, I once ate Rocky Mountain oysters by mistake. If you don't want to know what those are, just you don't want to know. So which one do you think is the lie? You're so good, thank you. I would never flunk anything. My mom got called in and she talked to her about me being too social, but I did not flunk the grade. I learned to keep my mouth shut and I made it to first grade. So thank you. So you will definitely win a prize. You're still amazing. Okay, third question. Now this is going to be a little hard because I'll let you know on a secret. This pretty gal at the end's my daughter. So I'm just going to see if she can really know, because I lie all the time at home, so she may not figure this out. Okay. Number 1, I dressed up as a half woman and half man and sang opera for a talent show at Northwest University. Don't you wish you knew me when I was at Northwest? It was such a great time. Number 2, I saved my children's teeth from 30 years ago and gave them as Christmas gifts last year. She might know that one. Or number 3, in high school, my debate team won first place at state. What do you think, sweetheart? What do you think is a lie from your mother's lie? Yeah, and you thought it was gross. I thought it was cute. I wrapped up their teeth and gave it to them. I thought it was special, and they both went, ugh. And they threw them away. I saved them for 30 years, and they threw them away. Okay?
And I'm pretty sure you did number 1, so I'm going to say number 3.
You are so right. Yes, I did dress up half man, half woman. No one would do it with me, so I just made my own party, and it was really fun. And I did win a prize at the talent show. But, ladies, you did such a great job that we're going to give all 3 of you these special books from Jody, the Jesus-Hearted Woman. There you go. Thank you for being a part. Awesome. Yay, let's give them a hand. Woo, 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 woo. So, ladies, this has been a great episode, and Letters to My Younger Self, I think, has been great, learning some life lessons. So I thought it'd be appropriate at the end of this episode for me to read to you a letter to little Debbie. Okay? So this is what I said. I want to encourage you in a few areas of life. First, don't be concerned about what others think as much as God thinks. This will free you up and bless others. Secondly, you are not perfect. Big aha moment there. So let it go and don't be so hard on yourself. As you extend grace to others, remember to extend it to yourself. Number 3, splurge on yourself. It is not a sin. Especially when you have little kids and money's tight, you still need to splurge once in a while. Number 4, enjoy the life that God has given you. Don't live a life trying to measure up to unrealistic expectations from others, or more importantly, yourself. 5th, live a life of thankfulness and work hard to not compare your life with others. Lastly, and most importantly, don't ever kinky perm your hair. I don't care what the style is. Your kids will laugh at you in your pictures later. Also, bell bottoms never have and never will be in and look good on short people. Don't do it. Lastly, always read the toothpaste tube, as hemorrhoid cream and toothpaste cream tubes look very similar in the dark, and thin lips are not in. Sincerely, Big Debbie that learned it the hard way. Hey, so I hope you have been encouraged. I just hope you've been encouraged today. And I just want to encourage you to encourage those that are younger than you.
Yeah, that's good.
As you're going through life and you know, wow, I wish I'd known that. Well, think about it, write it down, and encourage someone. Take a young gal out to dinner or out to coffee and say, you know what, I just want to tell you some things I wish I've done differently. Not that I have regrets, but I don't want you to ever have to go through some things I went through, and just encourage. Because that's what we're here to do, encourage one another, as the Bible says. And I'm going to encourage you with such an amazing gift as you go home. Each of you win a trip to Hawaii. No, I'm just kidding. Really, I would love to do that, and if I could, I would. But instead, I have something really fun for you I think you're going to love. You all get little Debbie treats because we're talking